In this series, lowimpact.org talks with people working to build a mutually owned, democratic, decentralised economy that builds community and doesn't destroy nature. We want to increase collaboration to bring about system change. Find links to the sites mentioned in the videos in the description below. Join the conversation by liking, commenting and subscribing to our channel.
So let's talk about sustainability. You mentioned the chart. You sent me the chart. I haven't had time to have a good look at it, but I'll put it on the site so people can have a look. Could you just talk us through it? So want me to talk about because we use so many woven products, so many textiles. Could you talk about the sustainability of sort of locally produced craft textile products versus, the industrial scale imported textiles from, I guess, mainly sweatshops?
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. So fast fashion is depending on how you assess it, there are lots of different metrics, but fast fashion is one of the worst polluting industries in the world. So by one metric, and I can give you the link to this, by one metric, it's the third most polluting industry in the world after the fossil fuel industry and agriculture. Now, it's more polluting, fast fashion is more polluting by this metric than the transport industry, even that mostly runs on fossil fuels, obviously, and the food retail industry, which is pretty huge. So that gives you an idea of the awfulness of the fast fashion industry. So I drew up this chart and I felt like I wanted to put my work, I wanted to contextualize my business in the modern world. So on the right-hand end of my chart, with the glaring red, I've scored the fast fashion industry in comparison to my business, which is not on the far left. I'm not achieving maximum sustainability yet. By my own standards, I don't think any textiles company that I am aware of is achieving maximum sustainability, because by my own standards, we can't be truly sustainable whilst using the mainstream monetary system.
So we'll come back to that later as well.
We'll come back to that. But so the monetary system itself is exploitative and drives exploitation, so that to the extent that businesses actually have limited choices, they're limited in what, if they want to survive, they're limited in what choices they can make as regards sustainability. So it's to do with cost and other problems. So my greenest products, I've given myself a sort of 4.5-star rating. The products I'd like to be making would have a 5-star rating, and I can't achieve that yet. I can't achieve that because of the monetary system. I'm using the mainstream monetary system, and I can't achieve that because I'm not located in one geographical area where I can be part of a very strict fibre shed, getting all my raw materials from my immediate locality and only selling to my neighbours.
Could you just explain that fibre shed concept?
Yeah, so Fibresheds is the principle of Fibresheds refers to the distance, the radius within which textiles are produced.
Oh, like a watershed.
I don't know what a watershed is exactly.
Well, sort of if you look at the water passing next to you in a river, it's all come from a certain area, and it's all come from the highlands and down towards that. So it's one geographical area. So all the water ends up going to the sea from this geographical area.
Like a water catchment or a water
water catchment area. Yeah.
What's it called? Catchment area. So a fibre shed is a textiles catchment area. So it's where the yarn was farmed, where the fibre was farmed, where it was milled and spun, woven, and then where the clothing was made up and where it was sold. So they would also all be within the same catchment. That's a fibre shed. Because I'm itinerant, I've been moving between fibre sheds, and sometimes I've been ignoring fibre sheds and having to buy from further afield. Like I told you about the Nepali exception here.
Yeah.
So optimum would be small fibre shed, alternative currency trade, local only, by my standards. That would be my 5-star sort of rating for any textile. My own products range from 4.5-star rating, so pretty good, down as far as a 2-star. Hang on, no, I've got a 0. No, I've got a 0-star rating on a product that I'm phasing out. Dave, my most popular product. Quite early on, I wanted to do this stuff. I wanted it to be sustainable, wholesome, local. But I got seduced by colour. I'm a bit of an artist, and my customers lapped up the colourful things I did with dyed wool.
I'm not surprised. I've seen them on your website, and they're absolutely. You haven't got one to hand, have you?
Yes, here's one. So not to everyone's taste, this one, but a sort of kingfisher colours, a kingfisher scarf. But this wool comes from the Antipodes. It's merino. It's not mulesed. I've checked that it's unmulesed, but I shouldn't be using this.
Right.
By my own standards, this gives me a 0-star rating.
Right.
Really, I can't believe I'm admitting, yes, this is Shetland. Oh no, sorry. No, this product by my own ratings would give me 2 stars. I have used worse. How did I make it worse? Was it very different? Maybe I need to revise that.
I'll put a link to this chart, by the way, in the description below, and I'll put it on the blog article.
I keep revising the chart, and I may have to refine it yet again, because now I'm thinking, how much difference really is there between this and the Peruvian alpaca that I'm using? I guess I know nothing about the Peruvian alpaca and animal welfare conditions.
I guess if the craft world sort of grew, and there'd be a lot more opportunities to get fibres as well as all sorts of raw materials from your local catchment area.
Yeah, and we'd need a different economic system that wasn't based on a capitalist currency, because this wool that's beautiful and soft and high quality and comes from New Zealand and Australia, where it's farmed in mega farms, would be 10 times or 20 times more expensive if it were produced locally and sustainably. So what would a community weaving workshop look like? Why would it be community as opposed to one small private business?
No, it could be one small private business. What I'm talking about is every single household, if they wanted to, could keep chickens.
Okay.
Every single household could have a little composting system, or even if it was a bokashi indoor composting system.
Yeah.
Or, if you've got the space, grow a few herbs in a window box.
Okay.
Every household could do something. You can have a bicycle, solar panels, whatever. Yeah. But other things, you wouldn't want every household having a pottery kiln. It just doesn't make any sense. Or even baking bread. Every single household baking bread, maybe not. Maybe just have a community bakery. So you've got one big oven, so you don't have to heat thousands of ovens in your community.
So we're talking about levels of self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
How one produces for oneself and the extent to which one trades with other members of one's community. And you're right, it is a sliding scale, isn't it? There are increments.
And if you go in further than that, if you want a laptop, every country could produce laptops. At the moment, it's just a couple of countries that produce laptops, but every country could produce laptops. Why not?
But at the moment, we're virtually, and what's the word? I don't know what the word is. The opposite of self-sufficient. We're completely dependent.
Reliant, dependent, yeah.
So absolute maximum dependency. Well, I think it's maximum. It could get worse, couldn't it? I suppose. AI and robotification. It very much worse. But we're very, very dependent, and yet the ideal is not necessarily to be completely independent in our.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to trade. You want to specialize.
Somewhere down here for me, lowest impact environmentally, but the highest impact socially.
Yeah. But also, if you have these massive supply chains, not only is it unsustainable, if something goes wrong, which is, you know,
which it does
not looking impossible, is it? If you know, there's electricity blackouts, or if the internet falls over, or if there's worse, you know, some sort of civilizational collapse.
Yeah.
If you're dependent on most of the things that you need for these massive supply chains, you're going to be in serious trouble. We want to shorten those supply chains for sustainability reasons and for, you know, looking after each other reasons.
This is the huge paradox. Capitalism is supposed to be, as you say, a free market system. It's supposed to bring freedom to everyone, but it does not. It does the exact opposite. What it actually does, it concentrates wealth to the extreme so that we have a massively centralized system. It's a global dictatorship. It's almost a global dictatorship. We're nearly there at complete capitalism. And the rest of us completely dependent, unable to get out of it. Whereas what you're describing is an actual free market that is distributive and local. Yeah.
We've probably rabbited on for quite a long time, haven't we? What else can I ask you? So just weaving, what would be your top advice for somebody who's thinking, oh, this sounds interesting, maybe I could be a weaver, maybe I could make my living from weaving or from craft produce of some sort? What would be your advice?
I think my main piece of advice would be to consider your as you do when making any life change, but really consider your lifestyle as an ecosystem, a little economy in its own right, and work out what will need to change to run a craft livelihood. Because the way things are at present, there's a massive difference between a labour-intensive, cost-ineffective craft livelihood like mine and an office job. Your whole lifestyle and where you live and how much you spend, what you can afford is potentially very different. So I'm an extreme example, giving up my house to live in a van in order to be able to launch a business like this. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing it this way. But I would say consider the whole picture of your life and your dependence and recognise that it's a lifestyle change, and it's potentially a different set of values and a different set of needs and offers that sits in a different ideological framework and a different sort of set of physical infrastructure within your household and between you and the community around you. It's a big change.
And we don't have any actual mutual credit clubs on the ground in the UK yet to point at, but that's coming hopefully in Devon, and as soon as there is one to point at, we will be pointing at it. They exist in Africa. They're spreading across Africa quite rapidly, and we've talked about that before on the blog. But we're definitely going to be keeping people up to speed on developments in the mutual credit world.
Yeah, great. I mean, meantime, there are transitional steps which we don't like in some cases, but which might help us get there. So maybe using social media. Etsy has been brilliant for me. All my sales are through Etsy. That's my only platform. If it goes down, so I've made taking a risk in terms of resilience there, and also it's not the purely craft initiative that it was at the beginning. It's now a Fortune 500 company, so it's not where I'd want to stay long term. But thinking of stepping stones and phases to get where you need to get, there are lots of ways.
Eloise, sorry.
It is possible. It is possible. And the autonomy is worth everything. The freedom is worth everything.
Yeah. We hope to help make it more possible.
Yeah.
Eloise, that's fantastic. Put loads of links in the description below to everything we've been talking about. And I know we'll speak with each other again soon. And good luck.
Thank you very much. Yes. Great to talk with you, Dave. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your work. Thank you. Bye.